the compound effect started to come into action. After 3 months, after 6 months, after 9 months, after 12 months, I started to get better, and significantly better. Everybody is replaceable at the end of the day. Don't get too hung up on losses. Talk is cheap, success is sweet. Hey everyone, welcome to Courtside Conversations. My name's Emile, founder and owner of Little Boomers Basketball, and it's a pleasure to be your host today. Wherever you're watching today's episode, I hope you're having a booming day, and yes, the pun is intended. My journey to entrepreneurship started on May 1st, 2018 when I launched my first basketball program with 9 kids enrolled. Today, thousands of kids across Australia are thriving in our programs, all thanks to the commitment and passion of our incredible franchisees. This podcast is here to give you real, straightforward, no BS insights into business, entrepreneurship, and what it's like to own a franchise. Without further ado, let's get into today's episode. Welcome back to Courtside Conversations, guys. Pleasure to have you back on our channel. In today's episode, it's going to be a bit of a life story of Emile. We're going to be talking about 10 priceless business lessons I've learned in 10 years in under 10 minutes. Let's get into today's episode. Lesson number 1, hard work actually works. And I learned this back in year 10. I'll give you an example of what happened. So in school, I was terrible. I didn't get many grades. I got D's and E's. I never studied. And I was pretty much written off after year 10. In year 11, I decided to start buckling down and study. I was rope learning everything I could because, HSC was getting around the corner. And I started studying in year 11 and it started to show. One day, my teacher at the time, Miss Canan, she comes by, I didn't have the best of relationship with her, but she comes by the playground after an exam just finished and she said, Emile, you're kind of a dark horse. Now, did I know what a dark horse was? Absolutely not. In fact, right after she said that, I Googled it to see what a dark horse meant because I actually was about to take offense to it. And then it turns out that a dark horse is like a horse that is very good, but it doesn't look good. It's kind of hidden. It's like a quiet achiever. And when she told me that, I got a lot of confidence in myself because my results were starting to pay off. I was actually working hard and people were starting to recognize it. So hard work actually works. Number 2, confidence comes from doing the boring stuff daily. When I was playing basketball, I wasn't the best of basketball players out there. I started very late. I played soccer and I moved to basketball and my skills were off. My dribbling, my layup, my game skills, they weren't the best. So whenever I played basketball, at the courts, I'd get beaten one-on-one. I didn't have much to show. I kept practicing each and every single day. I never missed a beat. Before school and after school, I would practice my skills. I would do the drills day in and day out. Did I get better in a week? No. Did I get noticeably better in 2 weeks? No. But the compound effect started to come into action. After 3 months, after 6 months, after 9 months, after 12 months, I started to get better, and significantly better to the point where I'd go to the basketball court. I was playing one-on-one with people that would smash me and I was beating them after 6 months. And they were like, dude, what's happening? They didn't see the progress from the daily stuff. I remember I beat my friend and he was always better than me. And he's like, geez, what's happening here? I'm losing now. Confidence comes from doing the boring stuff daily. You need to get into the habit of doing that daily stuff, the boring stuff daily. I'll give you another example with sales. When I first started on the phone, calling daycares, calling schools and speaking to people, I was terrible. I had that fear of rejection. I was stuttering. I was going blank at times. But by my 100th call, it was a night and day difference. If you recorded my first call versus my 100th call, it was night and day difference. I was confident. I knew my language. I knew my tone. I knew how to overcome objections. And that's what doing the boring stuff daily, it builds confidence within yourself. Lesson number 3, always learn on someone else's dime. This is great. Before I got into business and before I started Little Boomers Basketball, I was working at my local sports center, PCYC. I gained a tremendous amount of coaching experience there. I learned how to work with kids. I learned how to structure programs whilst I was getting paid. I was getting paid my hourly rate. I learned so much about coaching, so much about how to run a business. And then I started Little Boomers Basketball. I learnt on someone else's dime. If you have the ability, if you want to get into business and you have the ability to learn on someone else's dime while you're getting paid to literally make mistakes and learn, always do that option. Number 4, everybody in business is replaceable. I remember the first coach that I employed. I'll say her name. Let's say Stephanie. Her name wasn't Stephanie. Anyways, Stephanie came on board. I was so excited. I was reading leadership books, how to empower your team. I thought this employee was going to stay for me for 10, 15 years for life. It was my first coach. I wanted to treat him as part of the family. I wanted to make him an owner. I wanted to get their opinion on things. And one day, I think maybe 3 months in, I was at a childcare center. I remember I was sitting on the side of the road and she said to me, look, I'm going to be resigning. I've got a full-time job here and I've probably got 2 weeks left of me. Thank you for everything, When I heard that information, when I heard that, you could probably see the drop in my face. I felt like I was losing a family member. I invested so much time, so much energy. I thought, man, what am I going to do? How am I going to find a coach? What a waste of all this time. What am I going to do? It was the first time I've employed someone and they've left me. And your first one always hurts. Your first staff member, your first team member, when you're starting a business, always hurts. Anyways, guess what happened? The show went on. I found someone else. I've now got 20 coaches. We've now got 100 coaches in the network. The show goes on. Everybody is replaceable at the end of the day. Don't get too hung up on losses. What a learning lesson that was. Number 5, it doesn't matter how good your product or service is if nobody knows about it. Nobody knows about it. It doesn't matter how good your product or service is if nobody knows about it. Jesus says this, a great example in the Bible, and I'm a big believer of the Bible. He says, if you've got a lamp, a lamp that lights up, and you've got it under a bed, what good is that lamp under the bed if it's meant to light up the room? It should be on a lamp stand. That is your business. If you have a business, you should be shouting it out to the world. You should be doing everything you can to market your business. You shouldn't be keeping your business under your bed, worried, I don't want to promote it. I don't want to seem salesy. I don't want to seem markety. I don't want to seem, no. It doesn't matter how good your product or service is. Scream it out to the world. You need to let everybody know about your business because marketing and getting people to your business is a number one indicator that's going to determine your success. I see a lot of business owners, they'll say to me, I don't want to promote, I don't want to be salesy. Guys, I'm on the street. If someone says to me, hey, I like your van. Hey, would love to do your class. Do you have any children? I'm always in that business. I'm always going to be marketing because I know I've got a great product and service, but I also know that if nobody knows about it, it doesn't matter how good your product or service is, nobody's going to buy it. And so many business owners get fixated on making sure their quality is 100%, which I agree it has to be, but not putting enough effort in the second part, which is marketing your product or service. When I started Little Boomers Basketball, I was so hell-bent on making this work. I did an omnipresent approach. I went everywhere. I went schools. I dropped off schools at flyers. I went to daycares. I went to shopping center visits. I did activation days. I was at malls. I was on Facebook. I was on Instagram. I was on anywhere that was allowed me to go there for free. Anywhere they say, hey, yeah, we'll let you come down for free. I couldn't care less. I just wanted to get my name out there. I wanted to penetrate the market. And I just wanted to get my first 10 customers. I just really wanted my first 15 customers because it doesn't matter how good my program was then. If nobody came in and actually did the program, it doesn't matter. So I took that omnipresent approach. I went anybody that said yes, I'll be there. So lesson, it doesn't matter how good your product or service is if nobody knows about this. And Jesus said this very well. Hey, just quickly, if you're enjoying today's episode, it will mean the world to me if you can leave a positive review or share it with a friend that may benefit from this. I've also put some bonus resources in the description, including a real franchise case study that you can download under our Franchise Success Blueprint. Hope you find it useful. Enjoy the rest of the episode and rock on. Adios. Number 6 is over time, people form a track record in your company. Look at this track record when making decisions. I give you a classic example of this, right? We got coaches and a lot of our coaches are young, sometimes being young coaches between 18 to 25, they might be unreliable. When I was running my business, a coach would tell me that he's sick. I'm like, okay, hope you get better. Sick. And then he resigned. I was like, oh, what the heck? Well, why did he resign? Now what I do is I look at everybody's track record and I take mental notes of events that come through. So for example, if a coach calls sick on me for the first time, no worries, man. Hope you get better, find the cover. Mental note taken. I don't say anything. If he then takes a second sick day within a certain time frame, mental note. If he then takes a third sick day within a certain time frame, then that shows me there might be an issue with reliability with him. And now I have to have a conversation with him. I look at that track record and then I make decisions there. I do that in all areas of my life. Everybody's got a track record. And I do this so I can plan ahead and so that I can kind of see where I'm going and make decisions there. But if I just look at everything as just random instances that happen, you're going to get caught off with a lot of different things. So I look at track records with people and then I make a decision based on there. But you got to look at everybody as kind of a track record and make decisions based on that. I love this one. Actions are louder than words. Talk is cheap, success is sweet. I'm going to trademark that. Talk is cheap, success is sweet. I remember when I was first starting my business, everybody would promise me, big words. I'm going to come in, franchisees as well. I'm going to come in, I'm going to grow the area. I'm going to take care of my customers. I'm going to do this. And I would take everything that they said as gospel. My God, how good is he? He's going to do this. He's going to do that. He's going to do this. And then guess what? They'll come in. None of that stuff got done. And I'll be like, oh, geez, what's happened here? I thought this person, they promised me the world. They gave a great pitch, a great explanation, and then look at the results. The area is underperforming. We don't have, there's no care and attention. What's going on? And this is in all elements of a business. Marketing, like a marketing person, if you're looking at having a marketing guy come in and do your marketing, or a company, and they promise you results, we're going to get you more leads, we're going to get you advertising, we're going to bring you in more business, your sales are going to go up. Talk is cheap, success is sweet. I do not care anymore how much somebody talks. I take it really as a grain of salt now, and I look at actions. I look at results and I look at actions, because actions, results, and talking are two different things. I want to see behavioral change. I want to see actual results. I don't care about talk anymore. It's so cheap, guys. So make sure you don't get distracted and don't get taken away with some of that talk. They call it the gift of the gab. Make sure you're looking at what matters the most, which is results and action. Diversification is a distraction. Become a specialist. There's a reason, guys, why you go to the GP and it's free, or you get a little bit of money you have to pay to them, versus you go to a specialist and you have to pay 3 to 5 times of what you pay a GP. People pay money for a specialist. A generalist knows a little bit about a whole bunch of subjects. A specialist is an expert in one industry. When you are running your business, you want to be a specialist in one industry. Do not have vague or a little bit of information across a wide variety. Get good with one product. Become a specialist at one product. Become an expert. Become the leader. Have authority in one product before expanding your product line. And I did this with Little Boomers. I stayed at that grassroots, learn to play level, which is kids at between 3 to 12 that haven't played basketball before or don't have any experience, that want to get into the game. That is what we've specialized in. We haven't branched off to the elites. We haven't branched off to the high school kids. We haven't branched off to those wanting to make it to the NBA and college. We have specialized at the grassroots level, and as a result, in 5 years, we've become the leaders in that space. So remember, diversification is a distraction. Don't think that because you've got 5 average product lines, you're now going to be capitalizing on the market share because now they have to come to you because you're offering all this. It just means you've got 5 very average products. You want to become a specialist at one product, one service. Number 9, 95% of people just show up for the best. 5% actually plan and prepare in life. 95% of people are just coming through life, winging it, hoping for the best. 5% actually take the time to prepare, to design, and to plan their life and business. You want to be that person. I can't tell you how many people show up to business, Show up to meetings. Show up to life, hoping things go well. What's your plan? Well, I might do this, might do that. Okay, what if this happens? Oh, we'll see. We'll go from there. We'll see. Maybe this, maybe that. If you want to be somewhere in life, you have to redesign. You have to design your life. You have to design every component of your life, where you want to be spirituality-wise, business-wise, where you want your goals. You got to get in the habit of planning. When I have a meeting, I plan an agenda. I review the agenda. I send that agenda to the other person to review. As a result, the meeting gets smashed out, and we're not just thinking, what did we say we're going to talk about, guys? Oh, there's something on my mind. I love that one. There's something on my mind. I forgot. No. When I have a phone conversation with someone, when I'm calling somebody, if it's important, I write down a couple of notes of things I want to talk about. I write it down and then I save it. So that next time I speak to that person, hey, you remember last time we spoke about da-da-da? People say to me, how the hell did you know that? Because I write things down. I plan. I prepare for everything. I don't just show up. I don't just hope things go in my favor. I want the chips in my favor. I want the odds stacked with me. I want the odds with me. I want the best chance of success. And you got to prepare in life. You got to prepare your marketing campaign. You got to prepare for your quiet periods in business. You got to prepare that sometimes staff will just leave. You got to plan and prepare. Finally, life lesson number 10. This might sound a little bit morbid. Not everybody is cut for business. It's a mental warfare game. I always thought that everybody can and should become a business and entrepreneur. I have now changed that belief to now business and entrepreneurship is not for everybody. There are some people that are just good employees and should stay as employees and not enter the game of business, because the game of business is rough. It is mentally rough. It is a game of warfare up here. And it's all with yourself. And it's not a game that I think everybody should play. And unfortunately, I think it's been highlighted too much by social media about profit, be your own boss, revenue, work on your times, da-da-da. And as a result, people are going in there. They're going into the mental warfare game and they're getting chewed up and spit up. And I'm seeing a lot of business owners go back to an employee because it's safer, it's easier, and it's less taxing. Not everybody is cut for business, guys. It is a game of mental warfare. It's 80% mental, 20% strategy. So always remember that. Thank you, guys. I hope you found this style interesting. If you like my 10 business lessons in 10 years in under 10 business, comment below. I'll do more of this content and I'll see you in the next video.